Welcome to This Week Health. My name is Bill Russell. I'm a former CIO for a 16-hospital system and creator of This Week Health, a set of channels dedicated to keeping health IT staff current and engaged. Today, we have an interview in action from the 2023 Spring Conferences, Vive in Nashville and HIMSS in Chicago. Special thanks to our partners, CDW, Rubrik, Sectra, and Trellix for choosing to invest in our mission to develop the next generation of health leaders. You can check them out on our website, thisweekhealth.com. Now, on to this interview. All right, here we are from HIMSS 2023 in Chicago, and I'm joined right now with Harsh Nayyar with Pocket Health.
Yeah, very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, likewise.
So, founder and CTO, which came first?
Founder.
No, CTO had to come first. You had an idea, you had a thought, and you started.
That's true. So, I had my own personal experience actually. I was actually living in the Bay Area. I'm from Toronto. I moved to the Bay Area to do my grad school. I'm at Stanford. I was actually working at a startup. I was playing tennis with a buddy, and I fell and I hurt my ankle. I went home that day. The next day, it didn't get any better. So my doctor actually asked me to go get an X-ray and an MRI. I went to the local imaging center in Sunnyvale, California. At the end of the appointment, they handed me these 2 CDs. I was just like blown away. Here I am in the middle of Silicon Valley, and apparently the state of the art in medical imaging is to burn digital information onto a CD so that I could take it back to my doctor.
And so what's wrong with the CD? I mean, it's worked for years. In fact, the fax still works for us.
When's the last time you used a CD in your life? And more importantly, I think asking the patient to come back to pick up a physical piece of media to then act like a courier to go from one provider to the next provider to the third provider is just really inefficient when as a patient you have much more important things to deal with.
I mean, I think it's almost obvious to people now. It's like, I can't remember the last time I had a CD player in my computer. So if you're gonna bring that to me as a physician or a practice, I'm gonna look at you and be like,
You'd be surprised, honestly, the existing solutions in image sharing are so ineffective that providers are being forced to fall back to the CD because it is interoperable. When you have networks, which is what is the traditional solution in this space, they require a lot of prerequisites on both sides, whether it's different providers or the patient and the provider, in order to even get started. And what we're really focused on at Pocket Health is just eliminate all of that friction, those barriers to getting started.
All right, I'm gonna get to that in just a second because I really want to dig into Pocket Health. But it's when we think of interoperability as the person picking up a CD and taking it to the next, the person is essentially the API, the pipe, and then the API on the other side to get it from one place. But I mean, that's got to be the worst form, and so we've got to solve that problem. So Pocket Health steps in. You have that experience, and I mean, how do you solve that problem? I mean, when you talk about imaging centers now, there's a lot of third-party imaging centers. I mean, we're talking about data that could be in a lot of different places and moving it to the health system, getting it to the provider. What does that look like?
What that looks like is relying on common standards. So we sit on top of the PACS system. We use the DICOM interface in order to connect with those providers wherever they may be, in order to facilitate that image exchange between the provider and Pocket Health. So we connect securely with the provider within their environment and then securely transfer that imaging out to our cloud so that providers and patients can then access that imaging.
Interesting. So your client is the providers.
Our client is the provider and the patients. So we have a very unique model where we actually deploy at no cost to the provider, and patients can actually pay a nominal fee, which is actually reimbursable through their FSA or HSA plan.
So any health system can call you today and say, look, we want a better solution for our patients. You're going to come in and put a...
We have a lightweight software that installs directly on maybe a VM in their environment, connects within their environment to their clinical systems like the PACS system, and then facilitates that transfer to other providers as well as patients.
So then when the patient comes into their practice, they can say, hey, look, download Pocket Health, and we're going to give you a copy of the image,
and then you're going to be able to take it to wherever you go next.
Exactly. And they can share directly to that other provider, but what's most efficient and what we're encouraging is focus on getting that imaging to the patient, and they'll take it exactly where it needs to go. Because there's no one who cares about the outcome more than the patient themselves.
We'll get back to our show in just a minute. As we celebrate our 5th anniversary at This Week Health, we've partnered with Alex's Lemonade Stand, a foundation combating childhood cancer. And I've just been floored by the generosity of our community. We set a goal to raise $50,000 this year. I wasn't sure how we were going to hit it, and we are already up over $34,000 for the year. And we want to thank you for being a part of that. This June, as you know, we've been doing drives all year, and we're going to do something a little different in June. We have 229 groups where we bring together healthcare leaders, about 10 to 15 of them in a roundtable format, and we discuss the biggest challenges facing healthcare and how technology can be applied to those challenges. We have an event in June, and together with our chairs of that event, our participants, and our sponsor partners, we're going to be donating $5,000 to the cause. We really want to thank our chairs for that event, Jeff Sturman and Chad Brizendine. Jeff Sturman with Memorial Healthcare, Chad Brizendine with St. Luke's University Health Network, for being a part of that. We want to thank our sponsor partners, Order, Gordian Dynamics, ClearSense, Rubric, SureTest, VMware, and Nuance for also being a part of raising that $5,000. And we want to thank you again for your generosity. If you want to join us, thisweekhealth.com, you can click on the Alex's Lemonade Stand banner on the homepage, and you'll get taken to our lemonade stand. You can go ahead and give directly onto that page and see some of the other people who have given. Now, back to our show.
You know, as I'm thinking about this solution, the patient moving the data from point A to point B. With images, there's a lot of different kinds of images. Obviously, radiology images, not that hard. Cardiology images get to be a little bigger and that kind of stuff. I mean, does the complexity of the image create different challenges?
Not really. Fortunately, all imaging is sort of standardized on top of the DICOM format, which means that as long as it's DICOM, we're able to retrieve it, we're able to share it with the patients. For the viewing, our zero footprint viewer is able to visualize that imaging, whether it's cardiology, breast imaging, anything, really any imaging. And what that means is that not only can the patient view it, but anyone they share with can also view it. So oftentimes, if you're a community provider, you're dealing with a very, let's say, poor viewing experience on a CD that may or may not even load, versus when you get access facilitated by Pocket Health, just a consistent experience that's actually often loads faster than even the native experience from the PAC system.
So the individual imaging centers, this could represent, and for them, I would picture a very low-cost solution for them to get a digital transport solution for their patients. It would actually potentially catapult some of them into the 21st century.
Absolutely.
And
actually takes, there's providers out there. Southern Illinois Healthcare is actually an example. They're so overburdened, they actually have their CT techs burning CDs in between appointments rather than performing more scans. We have a shortage of technologists, and once they implemented Pocket Health, now those technologists are actually doing what they're trained to do rather than unnecessary administrative work.
And the overall cost to them was nominal.
Zero.
Yeah.
And in fact, they realized $100,000 in immediate ROI upon going live with Pocket Health.
And so, what's an example of a large system that's utilized Pocket Health as this one?
So we have UHS, their Southern California region, which recently went live, and we have Southern Illinois as another example. We have a number of large providers in Canada as well. Sick Kids, University Health Network.
Fantastic. So if you were going to have a conversation with somebody in the health system, who would it be with?
We would talk to the CIO, we would talk to the Director of Radiology.
Those are the best. Well, Harsh, I want to thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Another great interview. I want to thank everybody who's spent time with us at the conference. I love hearing from people on the front lines, and it's phenomenal that they've taken the time to share their wisdom and experience with the community. It is greatly appreciated. We want to thank our partners, CDW, Rubric, Sectra, and Trellix, who invest in our mission to develop the next generation of health leaders. Thanks for listening. That's all for now.